So today I'll be showing you how to fold my one and amazing Origami Kirby. Now wait, I've already folded Kirby before, but this time he's got a sword, he's got a hat, a Santa hat or sleeping hat. Well, you know him. He's from, the sword ability from the Kirby games. And in the meantime, I'm going to show you how I folded him in particular, and if you're wanting to try to fold him yourself, then go ahead and do that. I'm not gonna complain, of course. So in the meantime, let's get started. And give me likes, give me Ikes, give me YouTube likes. Let's get started. This is how you make an Origami Kirby. I mean, with the sword, everyone. If I could start off with this. So, yeah. So how I kind of want to talk about how I designed Kirby with the sword. So obviously there was the original Kirby I folded many years ago, and of course that model was really cool. In fact, Origami Kirby was my very first YouTube video in general, just based off of any videos I made from then on, and yeah, so there was that, of course. And so it was around, I think it was around actually Easter, like the next year after that video, where I designed Bunny Kirby, where I had a short showcase of him, and let me think. So Bunny Kirby was based off of this base, actually. This is the same base that was used on Bunny Kirby. In fact, this is the same base that you can use for probably other Kirby hats, because I think that's a lot of fun. So I'm excited to show this just to see if any origamiists plus Kirby enthusiasts out there will be wanting to try and fold this themselves. Also, I hope you like this new format, by the way, with my commentary here at the same time. Yeah, so basically the whole idea to fold this Origami Kirby here, in order to give him, I'll mention about Bunny Kirby actually, but how it got him was that instead of starting from a 6x6 unit, this time I had to start from 8x8 units. So there gets you'll kind of notice if you ever seen my Origami Kirby before, which I recommend you go check that out, wherever I'm gonna put it. And yeah, you'll kind of see that basically I'm adding an extra graft around the model, which is just appropriate, because really there's I shouldn't go for a giant graft. It's always so important just to keep the necessary amount of papers used, and thankfully this was the base that managed to do so, just like this. And so yeah, so you'll see that as I'm folding the crease pattern here, which hopefully for those who are trying to fold this, I can see how I'm doing it, where basically I folded the paper to 8ths and then just created those, you could actually create 4 squares, but I actually went with 3 for some reason. But you'll see that, yeah, where the similar crease patterns from the original Origami Kirby, resides in there. But of course, yeah, it's just you're gonna see a lot of box pleating techniques, and there was definitely a lot of when I was actually recording this video, I ended up changing certain things compared to my previous fold of the Sword Kirby, which was of course my first attempt with trying it. So yeah, so of course there was a good idea with why Bunny Kirby worked in this design, and so I was definitely into the interest of trying to change this base into Sword Kirby, which I had the right idea on how to get this to work, where one of the corners will obviously be the sword, and then the other corners will be the hat. So instead of putting the hat at the very top of the edge piece, I knew it would work even better if that other corner was used for the hat, which was folded to the side, just to kind of show off here. As I can show you here, where yeah, you can kind of see this right here. You can just glance down here very quick. That's basically why I had the idea of a Sword Kirby here. Yeah, all in all, folding this design was really fun. It was definitely a little bit of a challenge just to figure out just how to do the sword and the cap flaps. while also keeping them simple, which the previous folds kind of did something a little bit complex, but this time I went for something simple here, so I end up having to do a lot of like play arounds here, and I actually ended up having to pause on the hat flap because I didn't know what to do, but I'll get to that eventually. So yeah, so you'll see that there's like some pretty wonky stuff with the layers here, just like how it kind of ended up working here. And so that's definitely the part that I had to just simply figure out here, just like, oh, like how will this layer meet, well, how will this crease meet up with this crease, because obviously I just want to be sure obviously it looked neat. But yeah, otherwise, like for the first part of folding the base, it was just to get like all the face flaps and the leg flaps, and pretty much this is pretty much the base, or at least the first part of the base, where it gets all the flaps you need to, well, okay, maybe except for his little arms, or as MatPat likes to call them, nubblies from his Kirby video. If I can mention that from someone else, that's not me. Anyway, so you'll see like a bunch of the box playing techniques occurring here. There's definitely a little bit of a play around here, just with like how I wanted to get the connection between the arms and the sword flap properly, but in general the main solution was to just simply go with something like this, where I just fold this part to the side here. And I also noticed too at this part where I needed to like start folding these flaps up, because I wanted to be sure that I was able to resemble that. And I originally was also going to try like keep that pleat there without creating like those extra flaps on the top, but then I realized, oh, this is just the best way. I'm just gonna have to do this here. Yeah, so this is pretty much the second fold of folding Sword Kirby, where even when recording it just to like share it as maybe like a tutorial of some sorts, like it was important that I was still trying to like improve on the model at the same time. And so kind of doing this kind of video format hopefully makes a lot more sense, where I'm just explaining how I'm designing the Kirby, especially to kind of make it a little bit more live here myself, as I've been doing with my gaming channel, which you should go check out. I have some cool stuff uploading, and more will keep on coming if you're interested. If I'm not interested in the gaming channel at all, then well. But I'll try to keep up with origami stuff as much as I can if I have the right idea. I just don't want to rush the videos like too much, as long as I have the right idea, that I'm happy and having fun with it at the same time, because otherwise I wouldn't be doing YouTube in the first place. Anyway, so back to the design though, sorry to get a little bit sidetracked, but yeah, so you'll see that we started to get a little bit more into the face. You might have seen that like little like pencil fold design from the original Kirby design, and then and of course like his face obviously is just going to be the same thing how I did Kirby's face in my original design years back, where yeah, you just do that big, pretty much a big open sink like this, because we're going to create the eye flaps like this, and then you would like fold it down with those like parts like squashed to the sides like that, so they look like a triangle, and those like big layers there that could be used for the eyes, but I decided to keep it more consistent with like how I wanted to fold them. In order to create the eyes though, I actually need to first like get into the arms, which is actually really important to the eyes, as you'll see eventually. So yeah, so overall, just like how the whole design, like the idea of it was like actually like more simple than it sounded, because all I had to do was just take my original Kirby design, which the original Kirby design was already like straightforward enough, where it's just like, oh, just like have all these 4 flaps along the very center of the paper, and then just have the arms and legs flaps surrounding it. And definitely trying to create a face for Kirby, it's definitely kind of like okay, why would I do that? Why not just make it like a circle, or just leave it blank or something? But I just feel like it just wouldn't stand out as much, and I really wanted to just do this, I was just more inspired by Eric Joyzel, which a lot of times he'll just add faces to his characters that are not like drawn or anything. So I try to strive to do that in a lot of my designs now, where I just want to be sure that I just have those designs, because I feel like it's just a lot more cooler. I could do like more expressions, here. Oh yeah, so I'll mention this part here. So this part, that open sync on that random middle flap, is going to be used for like certain details on Link's. I mean, sorry. I mean, you could make this Link Kirby with this same kind of base here. But yeah, as you can see here, I was originally thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't get rid of that. Maybe I should get rid of that pencil flap. But then I realized I could just do it this way. I can actually still keep it and keep like a round part on the head there. Which around there was kind of like the hardest part, to be honest. I mean, definitely the parts around the head and the sword were, well, the sword wasn't like nearly as tricky. It was just that it took a little bit to fold here. Well, a little bit. I mean, it didn't even take a full hour to fold this the thing. It was just a fast folder. And so you'll see that I have to do like an inside reverse fold there just to obviously get the first parts there, because obviously I do want to sync, well, of course, narrow the model lock there because it's going to look too big for the obvious reasons. And so you'll see right here, this is pretty much good. What I want to say, especially for those who are trying to fold this design, perhaps, is that this part is kind of like the trickiest part is with the big, because this is a really big like inside reverse fold. Well, kind of. I mean, it's so hard because of just like the amount of layers you're having to mess with and try to arrange properly. And yeah, and it's especially easy to just to make like some of the layers just kind of like not match up well, like it wouldn't look proper, which I definitely had issues trying to do it when I was trying to fold this design. But after like taking some time, I mean, yeah, I was able to get it to work in general, just like this. So no harm in not trying to do it this way, because this ends up being the best way, especially for getting the box playing techniques to get around the arms, just like so. But last, once I started to get the layers up, I mean, as you'll see, it becomes a lot more straightforward once I began to pull it off and begin to use some box pleating, like Eli stretches, I think it's what's called. I always call it the box pleating technique, because this is kind of the technique you see in a lot of box pleat designs. If you see like, just Google like origami box pleating, like crease patterns, and just like YouTube videos on it, you'll hopefully find like the idea with like, okay, why is this guy talking about box pleating? And this is pretty much what you're seeing here. I don't know if this will be clear for anyone who's trying to fold this, but all that I will say is that this will just come down to like, well, really this will come down to like what kind of Kirby hat you're trying to fold. And like I said too, like that flap right there for the sword flap doesn't even need to be like an actual like object flap for like a sword staff or something. Which of course you could totally do that, but you could also use it for like, as I just mentioned, like on my Origami Bunny Kirby back around Easter, which happy Easter by the way. While recording this, it's Easter, so yay. Just find Easter eggs and whatever, well, or just have a yummy dinner or something with families, I guess, so I hope you're having a fun time with that. Otherwise saying that would probably be outdated. But anyway, so yeah, so obviously around these parts are probably the most time consuming part to get the Kirby hat right. It was especially important too, where like, because of the amount of stuff going on, it was so important that like the model still looked clear and simple, which can sometimes be pretty tricky for like certain bases that can like just end up having like so much stuff going on. Which I had experiences before where it's just like, whoa, like this ended up being way too complicated, like seriously, yeah, like of course like similar designs like this could definitely occur with like designs like Meta Knight. Meta Knight, my Origami Meta Knight is like one of my favorite models I folded. I think just because it was just like so cool how he turned it out. Yeah, so here's some more box playing techniques, just creating more flaps right here, trying to be sure that, and the sword flap will actually get extended, like pulled out further once more of the flap gets folded out. Yeah, as you can see, like right there, you can actually pretty much give Kirby wings here, and like honestly, this can maybe be a better Meta Knight base. Well, no. I mean, you could definitely use this. I mean, yeah, you could like give Kirby like wings there if you like rearrange those. And thankfully, since Kirby has like really short arms, like it actually does make it doable. I was gonna say this base could have worked for Meta Knight, but I realized Meta Knight just has like, you know, he has like longer arms and just like his wings are like pretty huge. I wanted to give Meta Knight huge wings anyways, so the whole base just had to be different. And his sword flap needed to be a lot longer too because of his longer arms, and his sword just had more details in general. Yeah, so this is kind of like what I went with. I just kind of left it with that there, and yeah, so when I get to this, so pretty much, well, I don't know when I'm gonna move on here. Yeah, so pretty much, I'm actually gonna skip ahead on this part, because I believe, yeah, like, this whole part is pretty much the same theme here. And I end up skipping a lot here because I end up skipping like this, like didn't record that part of the video because this part was just very similar, because I ended up making it very similar to what I did with the sword flap. So for those who were trying to pull this design and I end up skipping some snippets there, don't panic. Basically all I gotta say is this repeats step 30 and 45 on the other flap. Something like that. So you'll see that, yeah, like it ended up being the same thing here. So don't panic once again. But you'll see that around this part is when it changes up. But this is the part here where it actually changes up with getting the hats here, where that part actually does get pretty narrowed right there, as you can see. And then, yeah, there's gonna be like more box playing techniques, just ways to be sure the hat flap is long enough, while his little arm, of course, is little. Which, yeah, is the thankful part about like Kirby having shorter arms, because definitely having, yeah, oh, okay, and also right here, I don't know if I'm pulling, because I will be pulling the hat flap up a little bit. If you just follow along right, if you're trying to fold this, then you'll see it's not as bad as it actually looks for those who understand the techniques and maybe folded models, so, like similar design levels like this. Also, give me mics, give me Ikes, give me YouTube likes. Let's get to 200 subscribers on the Origami channel. You can also check out my gaming channel if you want, but let's get to 200. That'll be awesome. I really want to make that a goal this year, as much as I did to get to like 100 subscribers last year, which was pretty cool. And I feel like the subscriber rate is really quick here. But enough talk about my YouTube advertisements, I guess. Yeah, so right here, yeah, you'll definitely see that the main goal with this head flap is to be sure that, because obviously you'll see that like in the sword flap, the sword flap is actually in front of Kirby's arms or hands, but on the sword flap it has to be, let's see, a little bit different here. So what you'll see is that, like the sword flap, I'm trying to, well, that one flap, I'm trying to get behind the flap here. I mean, Kirby's arms, which because of like how like much like usable paper I have there, it definitely made it like doable. It was just like, I had to like, of course, like figure out, especially where I can't have Kirby's hand folded down like that. I had to be sure it's folded up as well. So even if that looks good, like Kirby's arm would have been like much lower on his body, which would have looked, well, I'm gonna say ugly. Kirby's arms are kind of weird in general when it when it comes to like where it could go on his body, because it looks like it can like his arms can also go like right on his belly. So, which is totally normal at this point, but it's also kind of like when you really think about it, like, I don't know. All I know is that the theory says is that he's like an amoeba. Hey, I understand Kirby lore at some parts, so don't... I don't know what I'm gonna say. Anyway, so I'll just go with something like that. Okay, so the eye flap, actually, you might notice, so there's one part I did skip, on accident. Okay, so with the mouth flap, it's pretty much the same thing as the eye flap. It's honestly pretty straightforward when you look at it. But this is how I did the eye flap, which I ended up doing on the other side, and I didn't record that. But here's how you do it on this eye flap, which is the same thing as the other eye flap that I didn't show on accident, so I'm sorry for that, who might have been questioning that, but here you go, at least you get that, and there's gonna be no more skips in the video, so I'd be happy for that. Or at least I'm happy that, okay, at least for those who are trying to fold this aren't like, oh gosh, what's happening? Or what just happened? How do I do this? Okay, so for the mouth flap, I actually changed up how I did Kirby's mouth this time. I mean, obviously I had to get a different facial expression to make him a little more like, angry. But it was actually kind of like hard just to try and get it at first, because I didn't want to make Kirby look like he was smiling. But eventually you'll kind of see why I went with eventually. But I was also going to say the mouth flap is also different too, because instead of like making it like a little bit smaller, I made the mouth flaps bigger. Because I feel like it actually, I don't have to like use like the pleats to like pleat up the mouth a little bit, which was kind of an issue before. So yeah, like that was kind of like turning into a smile, and then I was trying to like swivel fold on the top here, like maybe just to try get him to look like a frown, but it looked like he was like having like a big like a buck teeth on the very center, which I didn't want, obviously. I was trying to like get the mouth details because it was easy, because it's doable to do that, but yeah, but in general though, like eventually though, like yeah, you could totally see that just does not look right at all. Because also, I also should have done the eyes first, but whatever. I still managed to get it, and the way I just managed to get it was to make both the bottom and the top part of the mouth symmetrical, which pretty much ends up getting the facial expression of Kirby doing a or you can make Kirby do the YouTube face, if I ever want to do that in a YouTube video, but I don't know if I want to, because sometimes it looks like cringe. But okay, I'm obsessed with YouTube. Okay, I love doing YouTube. I love nerding about it here and there a little bit. So my hair was also kind of getting in the way, but I really have to look down. Okay, so how I got the cheeks here, I guess I should have mentioned, is that I just do like open sinks on like those bottom little layers there, and do like swivel folds around the sides to like round them a lot better. So that's how I get Kirby's little cheeks that he has. So obviously you need that, especially for a happy character like Kirby here. Yeah, so then for the eye flaps, it was just doing open sync right here. Which, yeah, like, I honestly don't have anything else to say at this part. Just open sync the side of Kirby's eyes here, pretty much. Here, let me get a good drink. I'm planning on not skipping too much. I apologize. I mean, there actually might have been another part that accidentally got skipped that I didn't record. So hopefully my hair doesn't get in the way, which I swear I was able to had the freaking habit. Anyway, so how I got Kirby's eyes was just simply just like sink them in, just give him like the, you know, the angry eyes where the lines are like pointed down like that. And as you'll see, like, right here, yeah, so then I'm gonna, like, sink underneath that part, and that's the head part I kind of forgotten to show, or basically, I can't even explain it well, but yeah, but here's, on the head flap here, yeah, so this is basically, we're clearly getting into the details now, which Because obviously, to me, it's the most time-consuming part. Because, you know, I gotta get it right. I gotta make it look like Kirby easily, so... Yeah, so like, you'll kind of see, I'm trying to fold the head flap a little bit here. I'm trying to loosen the cap a little bit like this. And you'll see that I'm using that like little like flap there as kind of like an advantage there. And you'll see that this one part of the flap, so you'll see that the hat on the very top is actually going to be tilted. Like the flap is going to be tilted to the side where Kirby's holding the sword, like this. So you'll see on the top there, and that's how you can like easily pull off a bigger cap head, like this. And then honestly, like detailing Kirby's hat is like pretty straightforward from here. But you'll see that I do have a good advantage where I can actually pencil fold the hat very off to the side, even more than it looks. Yeah, you can even like, yeah, obviously you can make this like Link Kirby, like Kirby with the Link ability from Smash. We'll probably not get the hair, but I just don't even think, well, no, he doesn't even have hair, never mind. So I think it's totally fine. But you'll see that I use that little like flap there, just a way where it helps to connect the arms and the hat, so it can put the hat behind Kirby's head here. And as you'll see, like I'm consistently trying to like pull the hat flap as far as I can, where, you know, it's making the flaps like long enough, of course. And you'll get just like this right here. And then we're just gonna round the head a little bit right here. And then yeah, so and then I guess I tried to narrow the hat a little bit, but then it also didn't look good. But then you'll see how I did the little detail, like that little ball on the end of Kirby's hats there. Is how I kind of get it with that, like I don't know what technique I don't even know what technique I even used to get that, but pretty much you do, but you can simply do like a pleats and then do swivel folds in the end. Pretty much. But yeah, obviously as it looks, the hat flap ended up looking pretty good right here. As you can see. Hey, how are you doing right now? How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so now we're just gonna get to the arm flap. Well, okay, maybe not the arm flap there, but the arm flap here. And as you'll see, because of how I have Kirby's hat, I can actually extend the sword flap even further. So that's a big yay. Because with folding sword models, and this especially comes to experiences where when I was trying to fold swordsmen a lot, I would either get like arms that connected to the sword that are too small, or like the sword flap just wasn't long enough for any details whatsoever. And so I definitely just like go with that Curtis kind of thing to say, hey, just make that sword flap long, make it the main flap in the whole design, unless there's like another main flap you can add to maybe make the model a little bit symmetrical. Which the model is symmetrical in some parts, at least the crease pattern is. The placement doesn't feel symmetrical though, especially around the top, around Kirby's head. Before getting the sword flap here was, it honestly did take like nearly as long to figure out how to get. Maybe except for like how I wanted to do like the arm flap, because I want to be sure that the sword, like yeah, like how like Kirby would hold the sword Like, I didn't want to make it look like Kirby had like fists, because he doesn't have fingers at all, which would be creepy. Or it would just be another cursed Kirby image in general. So, but I will also use the other flap as well for sword details, like the sword hilts, you know, connecting from the blade to the sword handle, which of course every sword needs something like that, or else the sword just isn't wieldable, or at least comfortable. But you'll see how it kind of did this here, where rather than make it look like a fist, like I had to like try and just basically wrap that flap around there, and it's still, and thankfully it doesn't look like Kirby has a fist, thankfully. But also looks, but it honestly makes him look like, makes like a really nice deal with how he's holding the sword. Like it's going through his arm, which honestly, yeah, the more I just think about it, with how it works for Kirby, it's just weird. Like, I don't know, this character is cute and deadly and all, but also just like very strange. But I don't know, he's a cartoon, you could call him as well, so I guess that works. Anime, I guess. There was the Kirby anime, which I've never seen, but only seen through YouTube, of course. So then, in order to get this bottom part of the sword here, I have to pull this one flap down just a little bit here. And yeah, the way I do it was just pretty much try to stretch it down. So I honestly didn't came too prepared when I was trying to record folding this, but whatever, I think it'll still be just fine. And just when you do it, just be sure that, of course, the Kirby's arm is still in the right position if you're trying to fold it there. And then for Kirby's legs, what you'll do is that you'll crimp it up just like this. Then you narrow it like so. You shake the legs up like this, and just round it. Just like that. And then for the belly, what I did here was just crimp it like this to give Kirby a 3D belly, and then just fold the flaps right underneath it. And the rest of the details will go like so. And these are the glorious final details for Sword Kirby here, as I've done. And in the meantime, if you want to maybe check on another video of mine, then go ahead and click right here for some more.